Hello, let us take a closer look at the Chains of Command Animated Guardian Necromancer build. It's a build that uses very specific Chains of Command body armor that grants you the unique skill, Animate Guardian's Weapon. You can put a very powerful weapon on your animated guardian and then summon over 10 copies of it to fight for you. Voidforge seems like the best choice. It's a relatively powerful weapon for its price, the favorite of many attack builds. It grants 700% of random elemental damage based on the physical damage of the attacks. It encourages us to gain a lot of base physical damage for our animated weapons, so it can be then multiplied by 7. The most effective way to do so is with Rallying Cry and a weapon with a lot of damage, wielded by the character. The Divergent Rallying Cry is specialized for such occasions. It grants up to 20% of the weapon's damage as added physical damage to attacks. These weapons normally spawn when your guardian kills something, but by equipping it with Gravebind gloves, he will take the credits for all the kills. We also attempted to automate the build as much as possible. The only skills to use are Cyclone, 1 Mark, and 1 Hex Curse. The animated weapons all deal mixed elemental critical damage from the Voidforge wielded by the animated guardian. It's quite hard to spawn a lot of them when entering an arena with only one boss in there, requiring you to take at least 3 of the writhing jars with you. Gathering block chance from Divergent Bone Offering, combined with Ashes of the Stars, will provide the character with a lot of it. You can go for the 75% cap with passives like Enigmatic Defense, Whirling Barrier, and Rumi's Concoction Flask. Select the Enfeeble Curse instead of Punishment to lower damage. Clear speed is steady and only limited by your movement speed while cycloning, so to improve it just get a Quicksilver Flask with a good pair of boots. Single target damage is very high if you already have your weapons up and ready. It may be difficult to summon a lot of them all at once. None of the mandatory uniques are expensive, but to get the damage you've seen in the gameplay footage you will have to buy a few specific and expensive items like Ashes and Impossible Escape. There are a lot of uniques you can use, and almost all of them you definitely should. We recommend wearing only one rare ring that shall provide you with resistances and dexterity. Corrupt the uniques that are cheap. The unique helmet, ring, and gloves can get you some powerful effects. Ancient Skull makes your minions less durable, but more aggressive and damage-oriented. Your AG has to have a lot of chaos resistance or life, ES recovery to withstand the whispers. For the Corrupted Implicit, seek the 90% reservation cost for socketed skills, and socket your auras here. The Winds of Fate is the weapon we would recommend. It has high base damage to improve your Rallying Cry and doesn't allow you to deal damage with non-critical strikes. Marohi Urki has slightly higher damage, but you need 5 blue and 1 green socket here, so it may be a bad choice after all. Chains of Command has the built-in skill which the build is based around. Your guardian, wearing Gravebind gloves, will summon Voidforges whenever an enemy dies, including worms from Writhing Jar. They will last for 20 seconds, which is enough. The sockets don't have to be linked. We have no time nor sockets to cast Desecrate, so Corpsewalker are pretty much a must-have. Corpses are used for offerings and to gain life from the Disciple of Katava. You can squeeze out more damage from Voidforge if you convert the base physical damage to anything else. The sockets on the Triad Grip gloves don't matter, just avoid the white ones. Corrupt if for elemental weakness on hit. Use Leash of Oblation Belt to gain all the offerings buffs at the same time. Your minions could use all of them, while the Bone Offering is great on the character due to the Mistress of Sacrifice. Ashes of the Stars is the best choice as you will greatly benefit from the extra quality of some of your skill gems. The reservation efficiency is important as well. Yule Nettle's Vow is also excellent due to the extra socket for the Ruthless support gem, and potentially a lot of resistances. As we plan to apply 3 curses, the Anathema ring will be important. If you don't, use a regular rare ring. Your life recovery is horrible as you can't leech and you have low regeneration. Use Katava's Teachings Jewel to recover 5% of life and mana every second. It only requires a corpse. Get the Impossible Escape with Supreme Ego to acquire Charisma and replenishing remedies for reservation efficiency and more life flask charges. Fortress Covenant increases the damage and block chance of your minions. You can socket it in the cluster jewel socket. You can put energized armor near endurance and overcharge notables to then allocate Sanctum of Thought and Faith and steel notables. It would increase your armor, good with determination. It shouldn't be needed. Chaos resistance while you have purity of elements is the only mod worth going for on a Watcher's Eye. Chaos and elemental resistances with dexterity should be gained from jewels or the large cluster jewel. After that's settled, increase your minions' crit chance, attack speed, or add physical damage to their attacks. You should also take care of their defenses. You cannot allow your AG to die. If you don't mind missing out on some extra damage and are more concerned with your survivability, use regular gloves with maximum life, missing attributes, chaos, and elemental resistances. Use bone rings to enhance your minions, unset rings to fit in an extra skill like Flame Dash or Convocation, or a regular ring with the resistances that you need the most. If you use rare gloves, you can gain the Elemental Weakness curse on hit here. Use Ghastly Abyss jewels with added physical damage to your minions' attacks. Add to that some maximum life for your own character and whatever's missing. Feasting Fiends and Vicious Bite would be fine for both the damage and survivability of your minions. Later on, after you can spend more skill points here, get a cluster with 12 passives, each of them with 35% increased effect. Such jewelry is expensive. Your animated guardian should wear Voidforge, Mask of the Stitched Demon, Doppelganger Guise, Gravebind, and Legacy of Fury. The Writhing Jar spawns enemies that you or your AG can destroy to create the first few animated weapons. It's the most useful in boss arenas with no enemies around. You will need 2 or 3 of these. Use Starlight Chalice only if you cannot afford to spare a gem socket for Elemental Army in your AG setup. Exposure is important. You may want to use Rumi's Concoction to cap your block chance at 75%. Progenesis grants chaos resistance that you're probably lacking, and enhances your durability by redirecting a portion of incoming hit damage to be taken as dot. Other important flasks are Quicksilver Flask with increased movement speed and Silver Flask with reduced mana cost of skills. Animate Guardian's weapon skill comes from the chest. In there, socket minion damage, multi-strike, melee physical damage, elemental damage with attack, increased critical strikes, and increased critical damage support gems. If you have the Yule Nettle's Vow, add Ruthless support. Cyclone is a channeling skill that allows you to move around. It slows you down, so to combat it select the Divergent version. Use Bone Offering for attack and spell block chance for you and your minions. Divergent 1 grants more block chance. Use Flesh Offering for attack and cast speed for you and your minions. The Divergent one is excellent for even more attack speed. Spirit Offering grants a lot of crit chance and crit multiplier. Use the Divergent variant again. Here it increases crit chance. Purifying Flame creates consecrated ground, and the Divergent quality also makes enemies take increased damage. If you don't have enough mana, which may be an issue, use Inspiration support here instead. Link them all up with cast while channeling support. Rallying Cry adds attack damage sourced from your weapon to your minions. Up to 20% of it with around 250% increased buff effect. Use the Divergent one. Hits against an enemy with the Assassin's Mark are more likely to be critical. Such an enemy also takes increased damage from critical strikes. Enemy afflicted with Enfeeble deals less damage. It can be cast automatically on hit as Gloves Corrupted implicit. You can swap it for punishment if you prefer to deal more damage. Link them with enhanced support for more gem quality. Animate Guardian is the minion that should wield the Voidforge. Use a Divergent version of the skill gem as it grants increased maximum life. Link it with Minion Life, Elemental Army, and Feeding Frenzy support gems. It will apply exposure and boost your other minions. This Guardian and his weapons are the only minions you're allowed to have. Haste increases attack and movement speed for your minions. It's an aura that you can easily swap for Determination if you prefer to do so. Just unlink it from Generosity support if that's the case. Precision adds accuracy rating and increases crit chance. Both are crucial for your weapons. Link haste and precision with generosity support. Your minions need these auras more than you do. Purity of Elements aura gives you the immunity to all elemental ailments and some resistances. You can use the anomalous one for more resistances. It's good for your minions too. Hatred adds cold damage sourced from physical damage, and grants more cold damage. You have no sockets left, so pick up a ring with one, or better yet, get it as a corrupted ring implicit. It's not that important, it requires a lot of reservation efficiency from the impossible escape. Leave it for the finishing touches. Elemental weakness lowers all elemental resistances as you deal all kinds of elemental damage. This curse you can apply yourself via Glove's corrupted implicit or Hunter's rare ring suffix. Kill all the bandits for the 2 additional passive skill points. The soul of Aracali is the best major god in our opinion. The build may struggle with damage over time, especially chaos damage, so it's an obvious choice. Lunaris is a good alternative, it grants you some movement speed while mapping. Soul of Risla for life flask charges as the minor god you should choose. The Writhing Jar counts as a life flask, and you may need these flask charges for long boss fights. The passive skill tree revolves around minion damage and some minion survivability. It's what most of the points will be spent on. Grave Intentions notable as particularly important, it will make your animated guardian much more durable. Get some maximum life, reservation efficiency, and go for the Call to Arms Keystone and Natural Authority notable. Allocate extra 50 life as your life mastery, life recovery on Warcry use as Warcry mastery, increased effect of auras on you as reservation mastery, additional 8% to minions maximum resistances, and minion life recovery on minion death as your 2 minion defense masteries. For 2 minion offense masteries, get 20% increased effective offerings, and minions elemental damage penetration. That is everything you need to know about this build. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.